Imagine this. In 1844, the youngest daughter of the little-known Prince Christian and Princess Louise of Hesse is born. Little Alexandra Caroline Marie Charlotte Louise Julia. It would seem to be just another youthful offspring of the European dynasties. But in just 8 years, her life would turn upside down. Prince Christian, her father, suddenly receives alarming news. The fate of the Danish crown has been entrusted to him. In 1852, this unnoticed family instantly becomes the center of attention when Prince of Schleswig-Holstein-Sonderburg-Glücksburg, her father, with the consent of the European powers, replaces Frederick VII on the Danish throne. But far more important was the next step taken by the young princess's heart. In London, Queen Victoria and Prince Albert faced a problem trickier than court intrigues. They urgently needed a bride for their son, Albert Edward, the Prince of Wales. From the very beginning, tensions boiled over. The Danes and the Prussians were feuding over Schleswig-Holstein, and most of the British royal family's relatives were German. So many candidates were rejected. So many intrigues were spun. And then, when the refusals were becoming more and more overt, suddenly Alexandra's image shimmered on the horizon. On September 24, 1861, she was officially announced as the prince's fiancée, and the entire continent held its breath. Towards destiny. Crown Princess Victoria gathered everyone in Spire, where their first meeting took place. Look at this photo. Young Alexandra and Albert Edward, their eyes crossing as if drawn by an invisible thread. Just a year later, on September 9, 1862, within the gloomy halls of Lincoln Castle, the question that cannot be refused was asked, "Will you marry me?" And she said, yes. In the spring of 1863, as the first dawn barely touched the waves of the Channel, on board the luxurious yacht Victoria and Albert, to the sounds of specially composed music by Sir Arthur Sullivan, and under the emotional verses of Alfred, Lord Tennyson, a woman from Denmark stepped onto English soil in Gravesend, Kent. Applause echoed everywhere, but most importantly, her name never left the newspaper headlines again. On March 10, 1863, the day when many doubted they could reach the secluded St. George's Chapel in Windsor Castle, hundreds of guests still gathered under its heavy arches. King Edward VII, still a prince at the time, members of European courts, and flocks of political advisors. Whispers of protest about the inconvenient location, the mourning for Prince Albert, and the strict dress code in gray and lavender tones, none of it could drown out the moment when they exchanged vows of fidelity before the world and before history. And yet, neither the pompous ceremony nor the lavish parade were remembered as vividly as the glittering gifts bestowed upon the new queen. Amethysts and diamonds, pearls and sapphires, tiaras, necklaces, and brooches. Every jewel told a story of feeling, power, and the refined taste of her chosen one. These jewels became the crowning moment of the wedding celebration, a symbol not just of the union of two hearts, but of two mighty empires. And so, when the trumpets fell silent and everyone held their breath, all eyes turned to the jewels. The most famous of these was Queen Alexandra's wedding necklace. Many know it under the more common name, Randall tiara, as for a long time it was believed to have been made by the jewelers R&S. While their firm did supply the British royal family with jewels, this tiara and its accompanying pieces were created by another outstanding jeweler, Gerard.
Though the tiara was entirely decorated with diamonds, it belonged to a larger set of diamonds and pearls created by Gerard in 1862. The set included a tiara, a necklace, a brooch, and a pair of earrings. Interestingly, the design of the tiara, with its full diamond coverage, knots, and heraldic fleur-de-lis motifs, was noticeably different from the rest of the pieces, which featured pearl buttons, diamond clusters, and drop pendants. Alexandra wore the necklace, earrings, and brooch on her wedding day, but declined to wear the tiara, adorning her hairstyle with flowers instead, as seen in the portrait from that time. The set was commissioned by the future King Edward VII, then Prince of Wales, for his beloved Princess Alexandra of Denmark. Likely due to the design differences between the tiara and the rest of the set, Alexandra rarely wore them together, preferring to combine each piece with other jewels. The tiara proved to be remarkably versatile. 3 rows of diamonds formed a sturdy base for removable elements. Alexandra typically adorned the tiara with large diamond lilies interspersed with intricate woven diamond knots, though it could also be worn without these or with diamond stars instead of lilies. Alexandra was the only royal family member photographed wearing this tiara. For a long time, Windsor hoped that the tiara would be kept in the royal vaults and one day reappear. However, after the publication of Hugh Roberts' 2012 book, The Queen's Diamonds, it became clear that Alexandra, having left no will upon her death in 1925, instructed that some of her jewels be given to her daughters. The tiara went to Princess Victoria, who later disposed of it. Meanwhile, the rest of the parure passed to her daughter-in-law, Queen Mary, and the earrings and brooch were inherited by the Queen in 1953 and worn only rarely. However, the necklace remained among the many jewels. In the years leading up to World War II, the necklace was often worn alongside the fringe tiara and the text circle tiara. But after the war and the death of her husband, Queen Alexandra's wedding necklace became her favorite. She often paired it with her Greville tiara, inherited during the war, and wore this combination for decades at various events. The Queen Mother continued to attend galas and banquets even into her 90s, with her last appearance at age 98, and the final recorded appearance of Queen Alexandra's wedding necklace was at a state banquet honoring the King and Queen of Malaysia at Buckingham Palace in 1993. After her death, the necklace was inherited by the Queen and reunited with the earrings and brooch. It remained unworn for decades until the Duchess of Cambridge appeared wearing Queen Alexandra's wedding necklace at a state banquet for the King and Queen of the Netherlands at Buckingham Palace, pairing it with Queen Mary's lover's knot tiara and Princess Diana's Collingwood pearl earrings, complementing the pearls in each piece. As of now, this is the oldest royal jewel ever loaned to the Duchess. But let's move on to the next piece of jewelry. At a costume ball hosted by the Duchess of Devonshire, Queen Alexandra wore another wedding gift from 1863 presented by Queen Victoria, a set of Indian jewelry, a necklace, a cuff, and 2 bracelets made of uncut emeralds, diamonds, and pearls. The 7-strand necklace of pearl and emerald beads was adorned with numerous pearl drops and diamond pendants, enameled on the reverse side.
This Eastern set, including a bouquet brooch and bracelets, was entirely made of pearls, emeralds, and diamonds. While the passion for the exotic gave it special charm, the gemstones were drilled and the diamonds flat and dull, which was typical for jewelry created in India at the time. Nevertheless, the value of the gift remained evident due to the rarity and quality of the stones. Later, Queen Mary dismantled the set, turning the necklace into separate strands of pearls and emeralds, which she then wore herself and, in 1935, gifted to her daughter-in-law, the Duchess of Gloucester. One of the diamond pendants with a pearl drop was given in 1931 to 5-year-old Princess Elizabeth. In 1960, Princess Anne was photographed wearing this pendant and her mother's necklace. An identical necklace was gifted to Lady Sarah Armstrong Jones, niece of Queen Elizabeth II. On the occasion of her wedding, Lady of North Wales presented Princess Alexandra with a large oval brooch of emeralds and diamonds with a bow symbol in the center and a teardrop cabochon emerald orondo. The bow is a national symbol of Wales, and the Welsh inscription translates as, "To our princess from the Lady of North Wales." The brooch was inherited by Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, who wore it at the 1969 investiture of Prince Charles as Prince of Wales. This brooch, adorned with diamonds and emeralds, was a wedding gift from the Lady of North Wales to Princess Alexandra of Denmark. The Prince of Wales's feathers are surrounded by 18 diamonds and 36 emeralds with a suspended emerald pendant. The feathers rise from a coronet decorated with 6 emeralds and a ruby. The ribbon bears the Prince of Wales motto, Ich den, meaning I serve. Additionally, for the wedding, Princess Alexandra received from the Lady of North Wales a set consisting of a large brooch, earrings, and a pendant drop, all done in the same style.
A bracelet, also gifted to the princess, was encrusted with diamonds and emeralds, with an enamel bow in the center and a Welsh language inscription meaning, "God save our princess." Later, the bracelet was part of the collection of the late Queen Elizabeth, the Queen Mother, who wore it during her official visit to Rhodesia. It was a wedding gift from the Danish king, her mother's cousin, Frederick VII. It is said to be possibly the most magnificent Danish wedding gift ever given to a Danish princess and was worth about £7,000 at the time of its creation. From her father, the future queen received this exquisite necklace. It included a replica of the famous 12th century enameled cross buried with Dagmar, Queen of Denmark, in 1212. Frederick suggested that the replica contained a fragment of wood supposedly belonging to the true cross and a piece of silk from King Canute's tomb. The slightly altered necklace can be seen among many jewels in Alexandra's coronation portrait by Fields. A gold bracelet with a diamond enamel buckle was made around 1830 by the firm of Gerard & Co. A turquoise and diamond bracelet with an A nonogram under a crown on rock crystal was presented by the princes and princesses of Hesse. The gold bracelet with a diamond enamel buckle was presented by Princess Mary of Cambridge, and an emerald and diamond brooch in the shape of a blooming bush was made by Gerard & Co. at the request of the Duchess of Cambridge, Augusta of Hesse-Kassel. This elegant brooch with a floral motif where the centers and buds are made of emeralds, one of which is particularly large and valuable, was a wedding gift from the Duchess of Cambridge to Princess Alexandra. In honor of the silver wedding anniversary of the Prince and Princess of Wales, the United Grand Lodge of Masons of England presented a lavish butterfly brooch inlaid with exceptionally high-quality Brazilian diamonds. 3 of the largest stones were placed in the center, 29 large diamonds along the outer edges of the wings, and 185 smaller stones forming the delicate body and contours of the wings, suspended on miniature gold springs. The eyes of this jewel were made from bright rubies, giving the piece a striking expressiveness. The design and creation of the brooch were entrusted entirely to Mademoiselle Johnson Walker and the Master Tolhurst from 80 Aldersgate Street, London. Already in 1888, it was reproduced in leading illustrated publications. Later, the jewel was passed down to the granddaughter of the deceased donor, the Princess Royal, Countess of Harewood, and then sold by her descendants. An elegant gold bracelet, gifted by those who carried the princess's train, featured a unique combination of miniature artistry and masterful jewelry work. On its links, the craftsmen of Garrett in 1863 hand-painted portraits of each of the 8 bridesmaids and placed medallions with their initials encrusted with small diamonds on a rich blue enamel background. The bride was accompanied by Lady Diana Beauclerk, Victoria Scott, Georgina Hamilton, Victoria Howard, Elma Bruce, Agnes York, Eleanor Hare, and Feodora Wellesley, all daughters of titled peers, captured in an archival photograph holding the gifted bracelet. In 1888, when the Prince and Princess of Wales celebrated their silver wedding anniversary, 365 society ladies raised funds to gift the future Queen Alexandra this diamond kokoshnik tiara 2.0. Originally composed of 77 diamond bars of graduated size, the tiara, which can also be worn as a necklace, was made by the royal jeweler Gerard. The design was based on a Russian diamond kokoshnik tiara worn by her sister, Empress Maria Fyodorovna. The kokoshnik was a traditional Russian headdress that also became part of Russian court attire, transforming by the early 19th century into kokoshnik-style tiaras, the most popular being fringe tiaras found in many royal collections. The diamond kokoshnik tiara was presented to the Princess of Wales by the Marchioness of Aylesbury, who led the initiative. Until then, the princess possessed only her bridal parure, so this tiara was undoubtedly a desired gift. The Princess of Wales wore it at major events. 2 years later, the tiara was altered by Gerard, placed on a new self-adjusting frame, and at some point, 16 of the smallest bars were removed. The tiara now consists of 61 graduated bars set with a total of 488 diamonds. In the 1890s, Queen Alexandra lent the tiara to her mother, Queen Louise of Denmark, for a portrait used by artist Josef Theodor Hansen to create a relief of Queen Louise, now housed at Amalienborg Palace. After Queen Alexandra's death in 1925, the tiara was inherited by her daughter-in-law, Queen Mary, who notably used it for a series of portraits taken by Hay Wrightson in 1934.
Queen Alexandra's kokoshnik was kept by Queen Mary after she was widowed in 1935 and remained in her possession until her death in 1953. Another notable appearance of the tiara was in portraits for her 80th birthday in 1947. Queen Mary passed the kokoshnik tiara to her granddaughter, Queen Elizabeth II, just weeks before her coronation at Westminster Abbey. In 1959, the Queen lent the tiara for the Eternal Diamonds exhibition at Christie's. Queen Elizabeth wore the tiara quite frequently throughout her reign. After her death, the tiara was first worn by Queen Camilla.